the training business when you're trying to work with your fighter and it's just not clicking with them. Let's take Saturday night, for example. When you're in the ring against a strong puncher and they coming upon you and everything that you practice, you can't deliver. This is not good. But the reason why this is because before I get started, I got to introduce myself for all of the people who are new to the page. My name is Coach Eric A. Bradley, 4 decades in the game, under the tutelage of 2 Olympic coaches, 4 Olympic tenures. That's the knowledge that I was able to acquire going into championship match after championship match after championship match. And before the first 10, I still was clueless. That's how difficult boxing was. But over the course of 4 decades, I was able to accrue over 40 experiences in title matches, from the amateurs, nationals, Olympics, to the professional rankings, under the great tutelage of great boxing minds. So my advice to anybody, no matter who you are and no matter what you're doing, get under the tutelage of greatness, because greatness begets greatness. And if you don't have those two, you will find yourself learning, and not executing. Now, back to the topic at hand, after I also let you know that I've also acquired over 30 books on boxing, teaching you from the effervescence of the basics and grassroots boxing that were taught to me by the 2 most decorated mentors that anyone can find in the sport. We just want to make sure that you understand that this is the number one thing that you have to do. Years ago, we created an online school for coaches who were training fighters competitive boxing. And we first put all of these video content up here. It looked like YouTube just on our website. People were going up there staying 30 minutes an hour. We were watching the stay times for people, and that was the average. So it was more of an entertainment hub where people were just going and sitting on it like YouTube, watching all of these boxing drills and skills. They were having some success, but they were not focused on the bigger picture. And when I realized that this was a mistake, we gave candy to kids in a candy store. So they weren't focusing on the process, which is what kind of process do these guys need to entail in order to be great at teaching the sport, not just having all of these different skills. And former WBO world champion at 168, Otis Griffin, was on the show the other night, on the fight show, in the pre-fight predictions, talking specifically about he had all of the attributes and all of the athleticism and knew the skill. He just didn't know when to apply it. And that's what we don't want you guys to do. So when you understand the skill, the mistake that we made is we were giving everybody all of this stuff, but the application was being missed. So what we did is we went up to the online portal and took down all of the content that was more rabbit food, meaning as soon as they saw it, they jumped to it. Peekaboo, Philly shell, all of that stuff. And we stripped the video content down and made sure that they were following the curriculum. And that helped them now develop muscle memory. And what is muscle memory? Muscle memory is when you're doing something until you get it right. That's when you're practicing. But muscle memory is doing something so many times that you can't get it wrong. And that's where you're developing athletes, not just making someone aware that there's a skill and a technique. So what happened over the weekend is the young man first overtrained the body physically with the muscles, because muscles suck gas out of the tank. The oxygen is just totally pulled away from the bloodstream because the muscles are hungry and greedy and starving. You got to understand the balance between muscle ratio and oxygen levels. And if you don't understand, you'll find yourself gassing out. And if you're gassing out at that level, you will never accrue not just the championship, but the reign of champion. And that's what most people are missing. So when I stripped it down, you started to find the coaches now not just going to competitions, but winning competitions. And in the first summer, we did 21 Golden Glove champions. We won 21 times with an online school with coaches who never coached a day of their life in boxing and definitely have never fought. That lets you know that we're on to something. And from that point, we took it to the next level. And now, 5 years later, we're upwards of the 300 champion mark just with our online. The program is the School of Boxing. It's the top trainer program. And we did that because there was a hole being drilled through the game of boxing since the old school professors and teachers were no longer a part of it. After the Emanuel Stewart, we had a drop off, and that we had to fill that hole. So I had to extract the kind of content and the information from my mentors, pulled everything out of them that I could ever imagine, and documented it, and that's the curriculum the guys are using. And that's what I see even with guys who are fighting for titles now. They lacking that. So if you're working with an athlete and you don't have the real precipice, you continue to find yourself telling this guy over and over the same mistakes, then that's the problem. We don't want that, because what happens is you get to the higher levels and you start to execute all of the things that was second nature to him, but when the things that he needs to do, like knowing how to get off the ropes, knowing how to punch in between combinations and not be subjected to be dominated because of his lack there of muscle memory, no matter what you feel like, when you got muscle memory, you can execute it. And that's what he wasn't able to do, and that was the reason why. So don't position yourself. If this information that I share with you is the kind of information that you know has been missing, then make sure that you continue to follow us for more. And by the way, if you want to have those kind of questions asked and get that information that you know that will be the difference in your career, then all you have to do is make sure that you follow. There's a link in our description, I think, that you can follow and basically say, I want to take part in watching that film study that we're going to do and see how we do things and how it's done. Like I took those processes from our professors and I showed and gave it to the game, and the game has already, multiplied our success levels. If that's what you want to do, make sure you opt in by typing the word school down in the comment boxes and take part on Thursday, the film study that we're going to do to show you the behind the scenes on how to use skills like the Philly shell, how to use skills like the peekaboo and transition from one style to the next. This is what you're going to really get a bird's eye view of. So thanks for taking the time to hang out with us over here on YouTube. If you like talking boxing, teaching boxing, or using boxing, consider subscribing, because there is no other levels in boxing. So long, and I'll see you soon in the winner's circle. Subscribe for more and type school. Peace.